I'm going to talk about something that has been frustrating dental service organizations, older dentists like myself, younger dentists, probably everybody that's ever been a dentist. This whole idea of associates and trying to get hired by a dental office, and the senior dentist wanting the associate to work for a small amount of money and the associate trying to work for a lot of money so they can pay off all their bills. And how does all that get meshed together? Really, really difficult. So let's just kind of talk in generalities, and then I'm going to talk to you about specifically what has happened to me. So you've got to practice. Everything's going along pretty well. You're really busy. You realize that you want to kind of pull back a little bit, maybe spend a little bit more time with your family or more on your hobbies. So you decide that you're going to hire an associate. And you decide, because you're a really smart person, you're going to hire an associate right out of school because you want to get that person so you can train them and teach them and mentor them and do all the right things. You want to give back to dentistry. You want to help that associate along the way. On the associate side, they get out of dental school and they're feeling quite entitled, absolutely entitled. And they think that they're worth at least $250,000 to $300,000 a year. And then you realize that that associate, who's very nice and very smart, really isn't fast enough to generate that type of revenue. Forget about the gross revenue to get to that salary. They can't even generate that gross revenue if it was a one-to-one match with their salary. So now all of a sudden you have a conversation with the associate and you say, listen, you're not really fast enough and you don't have a reputation yet. That pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to take any of the leftovers that I have from my practice. And the associates get mad because they think that they're entitled. They should have everything that they want. Not so simple. So the first thing when you start to hire an associate is to have an honest conversation about where they are, about where you are as the practice owner, and whether or not you want to bring them along and incorporate them in the practice and make them an associate and make them a partner, or they're just going to be an associate for the rest of their life. Because if you're honest with them up front, the relationship that you're going to have with them is going to be great. Because if all you're doing is hiring them just to work, with never ever the hope of them becoming a partner, they understand that, and you understand that, and that relationship becomes employer and employee. But if you truly want them to become a partner with you, then explain that to them. Say, listen, there's going to be a system here. You're going to work with me as an associate for 3 years. We're going to talk about you buying in as a partner somewhere between 3 and 5 years. I'd like you to be an equal partner between 5 and 7 years, and I would like to have you buy me out in 7 to 10 years. That conversation is a lot different than when you really know at the beginning all you really want them for is just an associate. So when you start thinking about expanding your practice or phasing back, be honest. These young dentists are not stupid. They're being coached in dental school, as well they should be, and hopefully you're being coached by somebody with a little bit of experience. So if you decide to hire an associate, be honest with yourself first of why you want an associate, and then when you start going through that process, be honest with the associate that you want to hire. You're going to find out that that transition, whatever it is for you, is going to be a really successful and happy one for you. So let me give you a couple of examples of associates that I hired. So when I decided to start expanding, I decided, well, I've been in the area a long time, and I think I'm going to hire a couple of the young residents, the prosthodontic residents, that I trained, because I figured I trained them, they know exactly how to do the dentistry that I want them to do, and let's hire them. And what I didn't really do is have the conversation with them about where they were and what they wanted and where I was and what I wanted. And most of those associations didn't really work out all that well. And I did have a couple that worked out where they eventually became partners in my office. But here's the other thing you have to worry about. When I hired one of the associates who eventually became a partner, what I didn't really pay much attention to is how we eventually part ways. Sometimes lawyers like to call it the divorce. I like to call it just kind of the natural evolution of these relationships. If I buy an office, I hire an associate, the associate becomes a partner, eventually I've got to leave. I never really spent time understanding and managing the exit strategy. And when I didn't do that, it ended horribly well, and it involved a lot of lawyers. And I think if the conversation would have been a little bit clearer up front, that would have worked out better. So in my case, not having an exit strategy was certainly a detriment to me. So when you start to hire associates, especially if you have multiple locations, or even if you're at the end of your career, please understand the exit strategy that you want. And you're going to tell the associate at the beginning the exit strategy that you want. If you don't do that, you're going to end up like me with a lot of frustration and a lot of lawyer bills. That's a bad place to be.